She's April.
And she's Molly.
And we are
the Book Besties.
You guys know we're a shit show.
This little spider doesn't want to go away.
Am I just burning this episode to the ground already?
Okay, well, then you need to say more nice things, because I've said enough mean things.
It's Yang and Burke.
We don't have sex. And I was just like, I wanted that.
Nigerian princess every day.
The peppiest kids I ever saw, they never come a pokin. It's not the pep in the pepper pot.
That was like really extra, bro.
I was having flashbacks to my time at Hidden Hollow Camp where we used to sing the peppiest kids I ever saw that started with like and we just like see how long we can all hold it.
What camp? What?
Hidden Hollow?
This all sounds made up.
It's not made up. I went to Hidden Hollow Camp from the time I was 8 years old. And I started working there when I was able to. I can't remember what age you can start working there. And so I was
Most
there
camps
from
at 16.
I think you could actually be like kitchen staff when you're 14 or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I was there until I was 17. So that was my last summer there. And it's not made up. It's real. And I still could sing the peppiest kids I ever saw. Like I could.
Again, another thing that sounds made up.
The peppiest kids I ever saw, they never come a pokin. It's not the pep in the pepper pot or the pep in the. Oh my gosh.
She lost it.
I forgot.
Well, at least it proves it's not made up because you could have.
It's not
forgotten it.
It's not. It's not made up.
Not made up.
It's not made up. Actually, somebody I went to high school and camp with is the person that runs the camp now. So it's not made up. It's real.
I'll take your word for it.
It's a real camp. Okay, so can we just talk about your shirt for those of us who are listening to this not on YouTube? Molly has a
exploding TARDIS
shirt that has fringe on it that is giving me
fringe gal.
Like, it's fully Golden Girls, like, Miami Beach TARDIS.
Yeah, whatever. It makes me happy. I wear it over a black tank top, and it makes me feel dressy.
That's the shirt that Blanche would wear if she was a nerd.
Okay. I'll take that. I'll take it. For many reasons. But, I mean, I am the Blanche of most friends groups. Let's not lie.
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm a little extra.
Yes. Well, that you are a little extra. So you are 10 days kid-free.
Starting tomorrow.
When this episode premieres, you'll have been how many days? 5 or 6 at that point?
Math is not my strong suit.
It's just counting, Molly. It's not the same as math. Like, it's just...
I don't know. They come back mid-month, so...
Bare minimum, girl. Count.
Hi, have you met me?
So you'll be 10 days kid-free. So what are you
And you'll be like 2 weeks into your new job.
Yeah, I just finished my first week. Technically, I still have 1 day left of my first week because we have a big program. And it's a Saturday program. And like in the public library world, Saturday programs are pretty common because that's when people are off. Right. And in the summer,
they take their kids to do the things.
Right. And summer is big programming time. But yes, I have finished my first week now. And I've been asked many times, how do I think it's going? And I haven't really... I've just been in training. Like I've been in so many different...
I'm not in the trenches yet. Like,
no, I
can't give you a definition of what it is if I don't know the full word, right?
Right. I've been doing orientations. Like I've had 2 different orientations and like a lot of different like early training stuff. So, I mean, I really can't say. But we have had a few. So the library where I'm working now is geographically close to a library I worked previously. Mm-hmm. Where I had a big following for story time.
Right.
And I have seen 5 of our families in this library. already. And
they're pretty stoked to hear that you've returned.
You've
made your glorious return back to the main stage.
Excited, but my job is different now. I don't know how much like actual like story time and things like that I'll be doing because I'm managing a department. But yeah, I mean, it's been really good.
Occasionally, that would be nice.
Yes. So I saw this kid who's 4 now, and the last time I saw him was in 2020 when he was 2. Mm-hmm. And he had been in my baby story time. So I've known this kid since he was like, crawling, and I saw him for the first time in 2 years, and I cried a little bit. Like it was nice. Like, a little emotional because like,
I mean, he's still a baby, just a different kind of baby now.
Yeah, but like, he's so much bigger. And I mean, I guess that's what happens. 2 years will really, change things, but when you're little. But it was just like, oh my gosh, this is like surreal. Like this is one of my little ones. And so that's nice. I mean, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, so far I like it. I really like the staff that I'm working with. And I mean, I've not spent enough time like in the actual library to like say more than that because everything's been like training and not really in the space. So yeah. So what are you looking forward to with your 10 days kid free?
Writing. I'm hoping to write.
Are you going to pick back up that story, the post-apocalyptic story that you started?
I've lost it. It's gone.
What the fuck, Molly? I needed an ending to that.
I have it. It's in my brain. I'll tell it to you later.
Let me just say that the biggest bullshit job as the best friend of a writer is that you read her whips and then you just don't get endings and you're like,
because they stopped talking to you. Like I've been having like, when I go to sleep, I create to like, I tell myself stories to go to bed. I'm not going to lie. Like that's how I put myself to sleep. Mm-hmm. And this new idea and premise is, I'm calling it the sister-in-law wars, where like at one point they were friends, but they married brothers and now they're trying to one-up each other. And it's just a chronological timeline of them one-upping each other until a new in-law comes. And then they have to band together to kind of protect their husband's sister from this man they're dating.
Okay, well, I want to read that, so go ahead and write it.
So, like, half the first part of the book is going to be, like, my thought bubble is, like, it's going to be a timeline of them just, like, well, we're going to start in, like, 2002 when they were besties in college, and then we'll jump from there to when the first one starts dating the first brother, and then so on and so forth, and then it'll turn into, like, a timeline of, like, them one-upping each other at the in-laws' events. Until, like, they're spiteful and hate each other, even though they still call each other besties. It's going to be really good. I hope it's good. God, I hope it's good. I need it to be good.
I need it to be good because I want to read it.
This week, we read instead The Matchmaker's List.
Matchmaker's List by Sonya Lalli.
Sonya?
I would think it was Sonya, but I don't know if I'm pronouncing the last name right. I didn't listen to this one. I read this one poolside.
I listened to this one just because, well, I already had it in Audible. Mm-hmm. But this was my second read of it.
Well, this was week 2 of our poolside reads, so I took that very literally. And then instead of just reading 3 books poolside, I read 5. So you're welcome.
You did go a little hard, but hey, you had free time.
I had 2 weeks off, so
I do have a synopsis, but I do want to make a quick statement about this.
Okay.
This book kind of is. The cover makes you think it's like a fun matchmaker love light thing. But this is a really strong book on Indian culture, religion, the true life experience of a woman in Indian culture. Specifically, this woman's in Toronto. And I'm going to speak for both of us here, April. We don't have this experience.
Right.
So our views on this book, our thought process, our bubble, like how we feel about this book has nothing to do with the culture.
Right.
It has to do with the content of the book.
Yeah.
So we're not going to sit here and make assumptions about the culture or anything. We're just talking about the book. We have zero desires to offend or hurt anyone with our thoughts on this book. It's more about how we process the writing, not the culture.
And we try here on Book Besties to not read only cis, white, heterosexual authors or books with those characters. We read a variety on this podcast, and honestly, what it comes down to is Molly and I pick what we want to read and we just read it. Yeah. We've gotten suggestions from people and we've read some of those books. And in this season, week 2 of season 3, that's what we're in. We have some people who are bringing in their favorite books and going to talk to us about them. And so, but we are never commenting on a culture or a people.
Nope.
We are commenting on content in the book.
Yes.
So.
And period. And we will be talking about outside observations as an outsider of this culture. Mm-hmm. We're not there's zero judgment. I think that's pretty clear here. We have zero judgment.
There's going to be some judgment, but not in that way.
Writing style, voice, length of the book,
the story
tropes.
Itself. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that's expected for any Book Besties episode.
Right.
So a synopsis, so I can stop rambling like an idiot.
Okay. Sounds
good. Reina is almost 30 and is having a rough few years. Her long-term boyfriend, Dave, ended things when she moved home to Toronto. While she's happy about being home, let's try that again. She moved home to Toronto. Her best friend is getting married, which she's pretty happy about, but still it hits home a little hard for her. Mm-hmm. She sees her nanny. Oh my God.
Molly.
What is the day? What is my day? Let's try this again. Reina.
Do you want to? Are you sure you could do it?
No, I'm good. I'm good. We got this. So Reina is almost 30. She lives at home in Toronto, and she's moved there for a marketing firm where she used to live in London. The reason she moved from London is to be closer to her nanny. This caused a breakup with her boyfriend, Dave, whom she still longs for, and has had a really rough breakup with. Mm-hmm. Her best friend's getting married, but she doesn't see her best friend very much anymore. And the only thing her nanny, her grandmother, can think about is her getting married.
Yeah.
And the start of this book, we are approached with a matchmaking list from her nanny. Mm-hmm. And that is how we start this book. Reina's life seems to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So let's talk about how she resolves it.
Okay. Yes, we can.
Am I just killing it? Am I just burning this episode to the ground already before
I gotta say, that is the worst synopsis that we've ever had on this show.
You feel free to fix it. I don't know what happened to me there. I have just lost myself.
Look, I think we can't ever take 2 weeks off again because we just we forget how to pod.
We just don't know how to talk. I mean,
you know what Molly. We didn't say?
What?
It's our 1 year anniversary.
It is our 1 year anniversary.
It's our 3rd season. Yes. It's our 3rd season, but it's our 1 year anniversary.
Happy anniversary, love.
Yeah, you too. Now let's talk about this book.
We're done. We're disrespecting this author by not doing this right. Okay.
We're sorry.
I am Sonya.
Please keep listening. We're really better than this.
You guys know this. You guys know we're a shit show.
What a shit show. We're going to get text from Katie. She's just going to be on us for this one.
What the fuck, y'all? Yeah. What the fuck? Gosh. So we talked about the culture a bit, but and we've talked about how culture affects books in other books.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about that first before we get into the storyline stuff. I feel like this is different. When we've read other books and culture has been a part of it, it hasn't been part of the main storyline. And I feel like the Indian culture is almost a character itself in this book. What do you think?
I mean, I don't agree with you that this is the only book we've talked about where culture played such an important role, because All American Boys, that book was literally about...
American. That's the one I was thinking of. I was trying to remember the name and it couldn't.
But
that was heavy in the African American life experience culture. Yes,
right.
Excuse me.
I think so. I don't know much about Indian culture, and I don't know anything about Indian Canadian culture because I don't live in Canada and I'm not Indian. What I know,
you're neither of those things.
Neither of those things.
Wow, this is all new information for me.
The only thing that I know about Indian culture is going to be things that I have seen from the movie Bend It Like Beckham, and Big Bang Theory,
right?
Which
neither are, from what I understand, always a positive representation of their life.
Right. Now, I did live in England for 6 months in college, and so I adjacently saw Indian culture, but
have to have enough curry to save your life then.
I really deeply dislike curry, which we could talk about if you want to, but I deeply dislike curry.
Okay.
But that's not, so I don't actually like Indian food, but I like a lot of other Asian food, just not Indian. But so I don't know enough about I don't know enough about the cultural things except for what is told to me in this book. So what is told to me in this book is this, that a single woman, that will not stand. Like, you need to get her married because the role of a woman is to be married and have kids.
Family.
Right. And they talk about that in Bend It Like Beckham. They also talk about that in Big Bang Theory. And I will say it's like that in the Christian community, unfortunately. There are some churches that I've attended that, like, when I was still single, it was sort of like, you can't really serve the church because you're a single woman. So you need your partner. And I was just like, cool.
Because you're not a grown-up without a man signing a piece of paper with you?
It's ridiculous. I obviously do not attend a church like that anymore.
Right.
But I also was single for a long time. So Tom and I didn't get married until we were in our late 20s. Right. And we didn't meet until we were in our late 20s. And so I mean, my family tried to marry me off a few times. Like, my mom was like, I met this cute doctor at the hospital where I work. You know, you want to meet him? And I'd be like, no. I live in Florida. He lives in Ohio.
I'm not just going to hop on a plane,
that
Mom.
Sounds terrible. Like, why would I do that? So, you know, I don't know enough about the culture to comment on it. I do think I have seen, like, Indian weddings in reality shows, and oh my gosh, they're quite a spectacle. They're quite a spectacle, and they are gorgeous. Like, Indian brides are just, like, beautiful. They're sexy and they're elegant, and there's just like a whole there's a whole vibe
that it takes to the mental wherewithal to sit down and the henna, right? The henna that covers the hands and the feet and everything. Right. That has to dry for 8 hours, 10 hours.
Right.
And what I
thought was interesting about the story, specifically to the culture, was the divide by economics, the economic divide. So her nanny is a self-made woman. Her grandparents came to Canada, and they started a restaurant, and their restaurant business just kind of grew and boomed. And they befriended a couple who is incredibly wealthy and, you know, upper class. Yeah. And so that's how Nani got into that situation where she's like being invited to these like really ridiculous extravagant events. But there's still such a divide between them. Like, what is culturally acceptable at this financial level versus what's culturally acceptable at this financial. And I think that's something that cross-culturally relates to everyone. Like, there is a barrier there economically.
And I feel like also how we're viewed, right? Like, Shay's mom cared more about, in this book, how the family looked during this wedding than anything else. And
I don't know if Indians have Karens, but she's a Karen.
She is a very much a relatable thing, right? When my parents divorced, that was mid 90s in a small town. The appearance of that was bad. Right. So, like everybody, my grandmother, everybody, all the adults cared about how it made the family look. Right. And while it's not the same thing, it is the same thing, right? Like how we're viewed, everybody cares about how we're viewed.
And I feel like this is a minority group that in this book, I'm not speaking to Indian people as a whole, but in this particular group, this is a minority group that is so small that they all know each other.
Yeah. Well, they're all from the same temple, right?
Right.
Right. So that's my understanding of this.
Right. Even though like none of them really go to temple, it's just
it's a social club almost, right?
Religion,
like is, that's how it was interpreted.
Yeah, religion is like
interpreting it.
Have you read Crazy Rich Asians?
I watched the movie. I haven't read the book yet.
Okay, well, the book does the same thing. The Methodist Church, which I go to a Methodist church, is the social club for the wealthy Asians. So, yeah, I mean. And I mean, I think that's true in a lot of churches. That's your social club. But particularly this one, yeah. I want to say, because I am totally afraid I'm going to forget this, that Reina reminded me so much of Deep from Love is Blind Season 2.
I pictured Deep.
And it wasn't just her physical appearance. It was her mannerisms too. Like, I could not picture anyone else.
As unsure, like, okay, we watched Deep in Love is Blind. This is going to be so ridiculous. We watched Deep in Love is Blind be unsure of herself, unsure of love, unsure of what she wants in life. By the time we finished Love is Blind, we get to the finale and we start seeing her on social media today in IRL. She is a confident, full, strong person who knows exactly what she wants and who she wants to be. The same track goes for Reina. Reina is unsure. Reina is living a ghost shell of a life. She's just pushing along because she's still can't get over Dave. She just she's going through the motions, and she finally figures out who she is at the end.
And I feel like her relationship with Dave was one that made me feel like Deep in whatever that asshole's name was. What was his name?
I don't want to talk about him.
Shake.
Shake. Oh, yeah. Shake.
Like, there's that episode where they're in Hawaii. Is that where they went? I don't know. Whatever. And he hugs her.
When they're all in Mexico?
Yeah, that's it. And he hugs her, and you could see his face, and his face is like, oh, fuck, what did I just do?
Right? Like, he's cringing. He's
he's literally cringing. And
like, he forgot that he was being filmed, and like, she's going to see this.
And to me, that's the relationship that she had with Dave. Now, whether he wanted to say that's the relationship he had her on the hook. And I think, like you said at the top of the episode, that that she went back to Canada because she wanted to be close to her nanny, and that's why they broke up. But my understanding was that her, and I could be wrong, I've read this once and you've read it more than that. My understanding was that her assignment there was short term, and she just felt like it was time to go home.
It was kind of that, and going home to, like, she had opportunity to stay in London, and she chose not to.
Okay. Well, she made the right choice, because that guy's a real dick.
Word. And we're going to talk about that. Let's go into the next question, since
Have we only answered one question? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The title of this book is kind of deceiving.
Yeah.
The Matchmaker's List sounds like a fun romance read, but we get something much deeper. So with this in mind, what do you think of the storyline? Was it original?
It wasn't just the title that was deceiving. It's this cover where all the guys are courting her that is deceiving.
Yeah.
What was your question? Was the story original?
Was the storyline original?
I mean, I guess it had some cliches, like the parent setting the kid up, you know, the cliche in Asian culture that you always have to marry someone that's a doctor or whatever. I don't know.
Any cliches you loved or hated in here?
Molly, I did not like this book.
That's okay.
So I can't really speak to that because honestly, I just felt like this book made me angry more than anything. I know we're going to talk about this later, so I won't go into it deep, but number one, I'm bothered by the idea that a woman can't be independent and
yes, I as well
do
have issues with that.
But I mean, I understand that culturally that is pretty consistent with Indian culture, and actually matchmaking and arranged marriages are still very common in India. That is very common still. And I mean, even in 2022, that is how people meet their spouse.
And there's nothing wrong with that if both parties are consenting.
Right. But I don't feel like this book added anything to my life. Like, I don't feel like I learned more about Indian culture. I don't feel like I learned, I thought it was very predictable.
Okay. Did you?
I love it. I love it when you don't agree with me, but you won't argue and just okay.
Well, no, I'm not sure how I stand on it. I feel like I learned a lot about Indian culture for this. I feel like I had an idea about what Indian life was like, but I didn't have a good idea, like a better clue. I feel like it gave me a more behind the scenes idea in what it felt like to be Indian, right? You did get put in Rayna's shoes.
In terms of the religious aspect being social, I did learn that. And the idea that, like, I never really knew that being LGBTQ in that culture would not be accepted. Like, I didn't know that.
I didn't either, and I like that she went back to the Karma Sutra and their own religious writings and was like, look, it's in the Karma Sutra, it's in this book, it's in this book, it's in this book. I don't know why we're making a big deal of it, and it's hush hush if we're studying these books, following these books, and these books are our religion in our life, and you're sitting here ignoring a big set cross section of it.
I'm actually reading the graphic novel series Heartstopper right now and watching the first season of the series on Netflix. And this series is LGBTQ. It's a gay 10th grader and a bisexual 11th grader. And it's set in England. And I'm enjoying both the book and the show. But every time I see something that's LGBTQ that's set in England, I think to myself, it was illegal. It was, you will be arrested and put in jail just a few decades ago. We are not that far removed from it. No. So to have a culture that's like unaccepting of it, it doesn't surprise me. No. Because like, have you ever seen The Imitation Game, the movie with Benedict Cumberbatch?
No. I was trying to think.
I mean, it's about a very well-known, but I forget his name right now, so that's how well-known he is. But he was a code breaker in World War II, and he is the one that broke, like, the Nazi code, and he was gay, and he was married to a woman, because you can't be gay. Right. And after he became world renowned for what he did, like 15 or 20 years later, he was arrested and spent like a ton of time in jail for being gay.
We appreciate your service to the country, but you're going to jail.
Right. It wasn't that long ago. And it's just, Downton Abbey, it wasn't, I mean, that takes place in the 20s, but yeah, it's not that long ago that people are being arrested for this. So.
Right. And you're seeing what's happening in our own country with it, right?
Stonewall wasn't even that long ago.
No.
I mean,
it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Reina, as a character, has a lot going on.
Yeah.
She doesn't know who her father is.
Yeah.
She's obsessed with her last breakup still.
Right.
She has zero relationship with her mother.
Her only relationship. The last breakup was her only relationship.
Yeah. She's a people pleaser, especially her nanny. Mm-hmm. And let's not lie, the girl needs therapy.
Probably.
But does this make her a relatable character?
I mean, I guess.
You didn't relate to her? Not even a little?
No.
That feeling of wanting to please your family and make them happy no matter what?
Personally, I did not relate to her, but I could think of a lot of characters that I felt were like her. Like the main character from the Kiss Quotient, for example. Yeah. Obsessed with work, not really great at relationships. So that reminded me of that. I mean, I don't know.
Doing a job just because you have to do a job and not knowing what you want to be, I understood that hard. Like not having a purpose, just doing something to do something, and like feeling like you have to succeed because your family didn't, and you have to persevere, and you're the next generation. And I get that pressure. I get that.
I mean, I guess I do, but I'm just in such a different place now. Like, this is a book that I may have enjoyed 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But I don't enjoy it now as a 40-year-old who's like, what the fuck? Like, it's like, I don't get it. We
have a lot of complex relationships in this book.
Yeah.
With Rayna. Yeah. I'm just going to go down the list.
Okay.
Rayna and her nanny. Rayna and Shay.
Okay.
Rayna and Dave. Dave is the ex-boyfriend for those that haven't read the book or listened to it yet. Rayna and the list, which I can go over the list if you want. Rayna and Asher, which he is the best man to Nani's fiance.
Shay's
not
fiance.
Nani's, Shay's fiance. Mm-hmm. Oh my god!
And Shay's fiance is white, and so is Asher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rayna and her mom, which I have a whole question about that itself, so we're going to talk about that in a bit. And then Rayna and Depeche. Was there were all these little separate branches of storylines necessary? Did you feel all of these relationships needed to be focused on? I forgot Zoe. Zoe is her gay lesbian best friend.
So we have read books before that have a lot of characters to keep track of, like The Selection, for example.
I couldn't remember any of the dang men's names. I literally tabbed it so I could remember.
We've read books like The Selection where there's a lot of characters to keep track of, and you don't forget who they're talking about. Like, you very clearly understand, oh, this is this character, and so on. I do think that she did a good job, besides the men that were on the Matchmaker's list, which kind of blurred together, which I think that was intentional. I think she did a good job keeping all the characters separate. I knew very clearly who everybody was.
For me, like, the men, I kind of, like, the one that was, like, vegan and judging her life choices and, like, oh, once you eat with me a couple of times, your life will be different. That guy was douchey. But the people that... Right. Like, the part that was rough for me with all the characters is every time we got reintroduced to the other bridesmaids, I completely forgot who the fuck they were.
Yeah, but they weren't central.
No, they weren't central. They were talked about. They were a part of the story enough that they had names, right?
I don't think this book's problem was bad writing. Like, I don't think that's the problem.
It's not bad writing. I don't know what it is.
I just didn't think the story was great.
It is a family drama disguised as a light romance.
Well,
and that's where I found this book, was in the romance.
So did I, and that's what I was going to say. Like, I feel like we didn't do it justice doing it this month, because last week we talked about Beach Read, which I loved and you liked, which had good sex in it, you know.
Right.
And then
next week's is like a spice talk book.
Yeah, there's a spider on top of my computer. I'm just gonna spider.
Scoot him away.
Next week's book is smut. Like, it's not even like, it's porn. Like, next week is porn.
Spice talk. It's basically everything Spice Talk is ever talking about.
Right, and except there's no fairies in it.
Or dragons, like,
we'll read fairy porn later this season. But this one being stuck in the middle of those two books.
I know. Molly fail.
Well, everyone needs to know that Molly is now convinced that I just don't like any of the books that she picks.
No, No, I'm pretty certain of that, but that's beside the point.
It's not true. I told you it's not true.
It's okay.
Even though I rated Jurassic Park 3 stars, I liked it.
Okay.
I just thought it was too lengthy.
Okay, yeah, but it's about science. It's got to be lengthy. It's got to have the big words in it.
Besides Frankenstein, I liked all the books you picked for spooky season in season 1.
Okay. I didn't think you liked the mushroom one, but okay. Mexican Gothic.
It was weird and trippy, and like it's never something I would have picked up for myself. But I did like it.
Okay.
Molly, just don't get stuck in your head about it.
Because I'm not. Otherwise, you're the one that keeps bringing it up. You're the one worried about it. I'm good. I promise. Okay. I want to get through our questions before we hit an hour.
Do we have to?
Yes, we have to finish this book. We said we'd talk about it.
This little spider doesn't want to go away.
Name him then and bring him on. Get him a set of headphones.
He's looking at me. Go away. Okay. Sorry. What?
Reina outright lies to her nanny, telling her she's a lesbian, or not, or she lets nanny assume she's a lesbian to stop the suitors. Right? Reina just needs it to stop. That's the only thing she could think of. Lazy. Reina knows this is wrong, and she outright admits it in the book. And she knows she's being disrespectful to her community and the LGBTQ plus community, but she continues it on. Why do you think she does this?
Well, I don't think she actually did realize it was disrespectful until she started hanging out with, what's his name?
Depeche. Oh, yes.
But she doesn't, she feels like it's the quick solve to her problem. And to me, that's what I didn't like about this book. I find this to be very offensive. I'm not even a part of the LGBT community, and I'm deeply offended by the fact that someone would pretend to be gay.
Girls do it all the time in bars. All the time. It is a constant thing women do in bars.
Not to get their parents to stop trying to set them up with people. That's not the reason. If you are pretending, oh, this is my girlfriend, so that some creeper will leave you alone, that's a big difference.
I think it's the same. It's a lie. It's the same lie.
But I don't because it in that situation, it doesn't affect everyone around you. Her grandma literally was ostracized from her community because her grandma was a good grandma.
Her grandma went and told people after Nani told her not to.
Listen.
Reina said, don't tell anyone, Grandma. I don't want to make this a big thing. I don't want to ruin Shay's wedding and make Shay's wedding about me. And then her grandma went and started running her mouth.
I don't think her grandmother should have done that. I don't think her grandmother should have told anyone. However, her grandmother was being supportive. Her grandmother was like
she's buying a pride flag in her living room.
Right. She was researching
she saw lesbian porn.
She got lesbian porn on her search history. But she was researching what it means to be gay. She was trying to go, she was trying to be the good parent that is trying to understand who your child is now.
But I think that's from years of, I'm not going to say failing, but I think Nani feels like she failed her daughter, right?
I think she feels like she failed her daughter, but she never failed Reina. She was a good mom to Reina.
Right. 100% agree. 100% agree.
But when she realized that what she was doing was probably not okay. And Zoe told her from jump. Zoe is her friend who's a lesbian.
Dude, this is wrong.
This is not, you can't do this. This is not okay.
Kudos to Zoe for still being a supportive friend who didn't lose her shit and was like, dude, what the fuck? She was okay, what the hell are you doing?
To Shay, who knew that Reina was not gay and was like, ride or die for her about it. This is where we are now. Okay, sounds good.
Do you think it was a necessary evil because she did help Depeche?
No. I mean, I think the reason that story is in there about Depeche is to give us more insight into Indian culture. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to go on dates with people,
just say you don't want to
don't want to go on dates with people. Just don't do it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how else they would have written. I think if you cut that chunk out, the book falls apart right now.
I think the book fell apart anyway.
Okay.
And again, not the writing. Like, I would probably
the storyline.
Yeah, it's the plot. I would not be opposed to reading another one of her books. I don't know if she has any more books, but I wouldn't be opposed to reading another one of her books because her writing is good. It's really descriptive. I could see what she was writing. Like, if you could paint a picture very clearly for me, I'm gonna enjoy like your writing style. It's just the story didn't hit home for me. Mm-hmm. And it's not because I'm not a part of this culture. It's because I find this storyline offensive on a lot of levels.
I'm sure others feel that way.
We've got to stop tagging authors and things because we've been tagging authors on Instagram and TikTok. And like this author
wouldn't be on the internet if they knew people were going to like, if they only thought they were going to get positive reviews.
This author has responded to some of our tags and like...
And I don't hate this book.
Okay, well, then you need to say more nice things because I've said enough mean things.
In chapter 20, Reina has an aha moment while video chatting with Dave, who's been leading her on. Did she need to go through all of this again to finally cut ties with Dave and come to the realization that Dave was just trash? Yes. Did she have to do this twice?
Yes.
I think so too.
It's the Bridget Jones moment. You've
got
to sleep with them again just to be like, oh, right. That's why we're not together anymore.
Literally, I love the scene because she's literally sitting there and he's like showing how beautiful this all is. And he's like, look, Reina, look. And he's so excited to show her. And instead of like looking at her face and seeing her reaction, he's looking himself, even though he's already fucking seen it. And she's like, he gives zero shits about me. He fucking gives nothing. He gives no shits about me.
And I feel like not only is he somebody who is hyper fixated on his job, and so and
that's okay if that's who you want to be. But bro, like,
he's going to struggle with relationships. Well, no. See, that's the problem, Molly. He did find somebody like that. He found Reina, and what would actually happen, in my opinion, if they did end up getting married? He would expect her to leave the job and stay home.
Oh,
that would still be the expectation.
It's Yang and Burke. It's Yang and Burke. Because Mama Burke goes, so you're going to pick a less time-consuming specialty, right?
Right.
When you become a wife.
Right.
Because who's going to raise the kids?
Right.
It's Yang and Burke.
So their relationship was doomed from the start because what he really wanted was a good Indian wife, and what Reina wanted was to be Reina.
Right.
And maybe she'd be a good Indian wife and mother, but she also wanted her career. I don't know that she wanted that career. She hadn't quite figured her shit out yet.
She said at the end, there's a list, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that list, find it. In that list, where did it go? Go to college.
Attend university career fair and keep your chin up.
Yeah. Like, Reina knows that she's, like, still has to figure her shit out.
Yeah. I feel like this book would have worked better if Reina was younger.
You think so?
Quarter life crisis her, make her 25, 24, 25, 26. Making her 29 almost and 30.
Because it was her 30th birthday the day of the wedding.
Mm-hmm. When the book starts, she's 29. Making her 29 and 30, she's too old to have a quarter life crisis. And at that point, I'm like, you are never going to have your shit together.
Never. I think we need to talk about the scene with Reina in the kitchen and her mom and her grandma and her uncle.
Uh-huh.
So, because I think Reina's relationship with her birth mother is an important part of her growth.
Right, and we didn't mention this, but Reina's father, even though she doesn't know him, he is also white.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Is blonde-haired, blue eyes is how her mom always described him.
Right.
And tall.
And
which
so
Nani uses to describe handsome.
Right.
He's tall.
Which Reina is like a fairer skinned Indian woman.
Which Nani loves. Which is obsessed with.
Yes. Yeah.
So Reina's mom had her at 16.
Uh-huh.
And Nani and I forget how they say grandfather in here, and I don't want to screw it up, so I'm just going to skip that.
I always thought, well, I was reading it Nana, and I was having a really hard time deciphering between Nana and Nani.
Nani is grandmother.
Grandma, right.
So her grandmother, Nani, wouldn't let the 16-year-old daughter help with the baby at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So Nani created a divide between Reina and her mother. To the point where her mom runs off, right? And takes off. When her mom finally gets her life together, she's 47 and comes to tell Reina and the family that she's pregnant. And Reina has a meltdown.
From a guy that Reina's never even met.
Nobody's met. She's just got this whole American life set up in Philadelphia, and she's like, oh, you should come visit us sometime. Right. You know, he doesn't have kids of his own, and that was the excuse every time the mom kept saying something. He doesn't have kids of his own. Are you kidding me? That's the reason? I don't know. I feel like...
Listen, if I'm married to somebody else at 47, and he doesn't have kids of his own... we are not having kids.
No, I'm not having kids at 47.
You can love
I'm not having kids now at 38 or 39. I am done childing.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely fucking not. We are done baby making.
Preach.
I am no longer a vessel for future Biggses. I am done with that shit.
Yes, same.
Done with that shit.
Well, I don't know. What's your question, Molly?
Sorry. Was Reina's outburst in the kitchen necessary?
I think it was the first time that she really let her mom know that she'd been hurt by their relationship. There's a story in here, like a vignette of Reina.
The flashback, one of the flashbacks.
Yeah, and they go to like a house, and people are getting high, and like Reina's 16?
Her 18th birthday?
No, I don't think she was
16th
18.
birthday.
It was her 16th. And the guys are like talking to her
and hitting on her and touching her and
really inappropriate. Her mom's doing nothing to protect her
and getting her drunk.
Yeah.
And high and stoned. It was gross.
It was really gross, really inappropriate. And then like on her birthday when she was younger, like her mom just decided to go to an amusement park because she wanted to take Reina to an amusement park. Grandma said no.
She forgot it was Reina's birthday.
No, she wanted to do it for Reina's birthday, but it was the day of her party. And she's like, we're having a big party for her.
We've been planning it.
Right. I think that it was a necessary discussion. It was necessary for them to finally have the discussion of, you are not a good mom to me. You did not raise me. You are not doing the things to support me. And I'm really pissed off that now at your age that you've decided you're going to just make a whole other human and raise that one. Mm-hmm. Because you didn't raise me. So there's a lot of hurt. Obviously, they have a toxic relationship between the two of them. I think it was necessary for Reina to finally express herself to her. I don't know that this story was necessary to the overall plot of the book.
I prefer it over the LGBTQ plus storyline.
Yeah. I think that all it did was give us a little insight as to the fact that in the Indian culture, getting knocked up at 16 wouldn't be acceptable.
Right.
And I don't think that was necessary to the overall storyline. No.
I think to understand Reina, we do need to know her mom. And I think that was the point of this.
But if you eliminate the mom story altogether, it doesn't have to be her grandma who's doing the matchmaker. It could be her mom. Or it could be that her mom was deceased and her grandmother
raised her. Or an absent mom altogether.
Yeah, I mean,
make her absent altogether.
Yeah,
Stop bringing her back
there could be a lot of reasons why. I don't know.
Did you think Nani deserved to be yelled at too in that moment? Because she lost her shit on Nani and her mom.
I think that she could have handled Nani better. Like, I feel like she needed to be upfront with Nani from the beginning. I mean, and she kind of was. She was like, look, I said I'd wait till I was 30. And Nani's like, well, we're going to start now.
Right.
And she did tell Nani she didn't appreciate that she signed her up for online dating without her permission. But
Nani really needs to get her shit together with the internet.
But It sounds like Nani has some interesting search histories.
I mean, I couldn't imagine what my grandmother would get into if she had access to the internet today, if she was still around.
Yeah.
Arvina having a computer sounds like a terrible idea. And I loved that woman. But her having access to Facebook and the internet sounds like a bad recipe. Nigerian princess every day, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, out of the suitors for Rayna, was there anybody you actually liked for her?
No.
Not even Asher?
Well, Asher, but he wasn't one of the lists.
She put him on the list.
She did. Okay, but yes, Asher. But honestly, it was so predictable.
Yeah.
And also that weird storyline where she asked him for pot. That made me literally cringe.
I think they were trying to build like this small romantic climax with him. And she's like, well, they both play basketball. Let's just put them on the basketball court. Mm-hmm. And then Reina will remember that he smoked pot and it'll offend him and it'll make a divide. And then they'll kiss on New Year's Eve. And then he'll learn she's gay and he'll apologize for kissing a gay woman. And it'll be a miscommunication trope.
And then, of course, a part of that
poorly timed miscommunication trope.
And of course, that miscommunication trope will also include the fact that his sister is gay and married to a woman, and so now he's
almost
even
committed suicide.
Yeah, and he's even more sorry because
he didn't mean to offend her or hurt her feelings.
It's just not a good story.
Well, do you want to finish the questions, or are you just going to sit there and say that?
Well, we've got 10 minutes left, baby doll, so we better do it.
Do you think Shay's wedding was always going to end that way? Do you think it was always going to... Oh, a disaster. Her yelling at her mom, being pregnant, like, going missing the night of one of the ceremonies, like...
Yeah, because they were living together. Her mom thought that Shay was still living with Reina.
Oh my God, yes.
Which was not the case at all.
And how about what ride or die those two are? Shay and Reina aren't just best friends, they're sisters.
Yeah.
I mean, that fight in the hotel room in New York City, that was a fight between sisters, not best friends.
I had a feeling that she was pregnant when she was like being all weird and emotional. And I really did think they were going to elope. And then when it was like, oh, I think the wedding's off, it was just so cliche. It was just so expected.
Yeah.
Like, surprise me. I've never read a book about Indian culture before. Surprise me.
I'm assuming you had no favorite lines then?
You know, Molly, even if I did, I read this book like a month ago. So
I have one.
I can tell you.
It says, it's from page 328. Gay, straight, Indian, not Indian. She moves closer to him. Not everyone is brave enough to be themselves.
All right, I'll take that. That could be my favorite line too.
And my last question, April Goodreads.
I gave it a 2.
And final thoughts?
I wanted to like it. Does that
it's
count?
something. As a writer, I think she's a solid, I give her like her writing technique, style, verbiage, language, A. Storyline, a B. Like, I feel like there's there's too much going on in this book.
I would give her writing, I'd give her writing a B+, A-, somewhere in that range, but I would give the storyline a solid D+.
Oh, I think the story needed more editing. I mean, we have gay, the LGBTQ plus trope. We have the miscommunication trope. We have the absent parent trope. We have the my family doesn't get me trope. The wandering soul trope. We have I hate my job trope. We have a bad boyfriend trope. There are so many. I will lose count going through the tropes.
But do you know what we don't have? We don't have sex. And I was just like, I wanted that.
So the reason you're mad at this book isn't Sonya
Nobody was banging.
That's not Sonya Lalli's writing. It's you thought I was giving you a steamy summer read, and instead I gave you a family relationship sad book.
It wasn't sad, but yes, I was wanting it to be. It was in the romance section.
So the belt is for me. The belt's for Molly.
It was in the romance section. This is not a romance. This, going back to what we talked about last week.
Ma'am, Miss Lalli, maybe talk to your cover artists. Have them read the book before they do the art.
And going back to what we talked about last week with Beach Read, this is not a romance novel. This is women's fiction.
Oh, women's fiction. But heaven forbid we freaking label it anything else. Because it talks about romance, right? It talks about relationships.
That's not a romance novel. If I read a romance novel and somebody doesn't bang, it's a waste of a romance novel.
So we're not going to talk about those Christian novels then? The Christian romances?
Oh my gosh. Molly.
Hallmark TV.
Molly. I don't watch any of that. I've never seen a Hallmark Christmas movie ever. You know how we, on our challenge, we have a reading challenge?
Yes.
My friend Rachel was paired up with me for the pick a book for your friend, and she picked a book I will 100% never read. So it is the only check mark I have left to complete the fucking challenge. And it's been a month.
And you're just not?
I really don't want to do it.
What book is it?
Oh my gosh. Let me think. Hang on. Is it Redeeming Love? Yeah, Redeeming Love. It's historical fiction that takes place in the Wild West, and it's a prostitute, a woman who was like prostituted, and a man who's a good Christian man who just like follows God's word and sweeps her up. And
what the fuck book is this?
I read the description in Barnes and Noble because I was going to buy it. I read the description. I am holding the description.
It back on the shelf.
I'm holding it. I'm reading the description aloud to Tom, and then I just went back on shelf. That is not ever a book I would want to read. And she was like, I just want you to know that people are saying that it is a romance novel that could cause women to stumble because there is sexual content in it. And I was like, even then, I don't want to read this book. I don't want to read this book.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, I appreciate
that. It's too steamy for the Christian bookstore.
They made it a movie.
No.
Yeah, it's a movie. I have no desire to see
not that unlike the alien babysitter.
Sometimes I wonder how books get published.
My question is there is shit like that out there, and I can't get a fucking phone call back.
Yeah.
You just gotta know people, man.
I'm really
That's
sorry.
The biz.
I'm really sorry, Molly. I want
that I did not write alien babysitters. Me too, man.
I'm sorry that you can't get a phone call back because, I like your writing.
I appreciate that, love. I do.
Yeah.
Next week.
Next week we are talking about this book. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. The sequel is called Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. And I did, in fact, read both of them because
she had some time.
I own both of them. I bought them both at Barnes & Noble, and I had some time. And so that's what we're going to talk about next week. And if you are worried about sexual content, these are not the books for you. Because this one is straight.
Why are you fucking here if you're worried about sexual content? We are not the podcast for you. We appreciate you joining us. And enjoy your religion. We're happy for you that you believe the things you believe.
I enjoy my religion.
But you're not judging my sexual content either.
So we're going to talk about It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey next week. And August, we're jumping back into like the normal flow of things where we're not doing a theme.
I failed the theme test, obviously.
Yeah, but you know what? We've done this before. So I failed the theme test in February because Eleanor and Park was not quite the romance that I remember it being.
So maybe we just skip themes for a little bit.
Well, I want to do romance again. This is off-pod conversation.
This is off live convo, yes.
In August, we will have a guest. My friend Florida Megan will be joining us. We are reading The Night Circus.
I thought I was going to say Station 11, but that's Chessie.
And I'm legit concerned for the episode because she's already texted me to say, does this book get better? So.
You love that book!
I don't love it. It's just what I like. But yes, I was like, fuck.
We're going to have an issue.
Yeah. But we're going back to normal style things. And hey, I'm reading the first and second August book right now, and they're both going well for me. So
Really?
Yeah.
Even the ones I picked?
The one you picked, which is The House on the Cerulean Sea?
That's not a Molly pick. That's actually a suggestion from a bestie.
Well, maybe we could just fire you and hire her.
Fuck you. Leslie, you're up. I'm out. Bye.
All right, I think we're done.
We're done.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on Book Besties. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The views discussed here are those of Molly and April, not those of anyone else. Today's book was The Matchmaker's List by Sonya Lalli. Your book besties are Molly Biggs and April Watkins. Editing by Thomas Watkins, and music is Sleep Sweetly by Brigida. Don't forget to follow the Book Besties on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. If you'd like to contact the Book Besties, please email us at bookbestiespod@gmail.com.